Hey guys, I'm here with Bob Daugherty, a local counselor and professor at my alma mater, Trinity. Didn't see him too much on campus because I was doing physical therapy. Obviously our paths didn't cross too much. But we have the privilege of hearing from him in our series Family Matters and getting some really good practical biblical wisdom on how we can live wisely in our family life. So Bob, first question. We're talking today about scheduling time together. One of the things that you often bring up is the importance of spending intentional quality time together. So can you take us through that statement a little bit? Why intentional, why quality, what does that mean?
Well, actually, intentional and quality mean different things to different people. For some husbands, I found sitting in the room with the TV going and his wife's in the same room, that's quality for some guys, okay? Maybe not for the wife. One of the things, though, that I have found is that one of the biggest problems we have in our culture is time. Mm-hmm. I mean, I need to spend time with my son, I need to spend time with my daughter, I need to spend time with my wife. Mm-hmm. I need time alone. We need time as a family. Mm-hmm. The only way you're going to get that is if you schedule it. Mm-hmm. And so my wife and I, years ago, came to the point where we decided what we needed to do was have a business meeting, a family business meeting. And we just set 1 hour a week, and each week what we'd do is we'd talk about the coming week's schedule, hers, mine, ours, okay? And then, and we talk about it day by day. Mm-hmm. My mistake was when we first started doing this, I said, okay, this coming week I'm working 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I thought I'd covered the bases. Well, that first Monday I came home about 6 o'clock. As soon as I opened the door, I knew that there was trouble because there were icebergs in my family. You couldn't see it, but the Titanic would have sunk in my living room, okay? So, what's wrong? Mm-hmm. You said you'd be here at 5. No, I said, I'm working till 5. I can't be here at 5. If I'm working till 5, we had a big fight. I learned. My wife didn't care about my work. Mm-hmm. What she really cared about, and particularly when my youngsters were small, was when my body came walking in the room. Mm-hmm. Even if my mind was a half hour later, mm-hmm. my body was there. She could throw these 2 little ones at me that stick like Velcro, and she was free to do other things. Mm-hmm. So we started, having to plan this time together because there's such a draw on it. So we talk about, now to this day still, both my kids are up in their 30s, mm-hmm. that on Monday I'm leaving at such a time, I'll be home before such and such time. What is my wife's schedule for that day? Bible studies, dentist appointments, so on and so forth. And then I'll ask my wife, do we have anything planned that evening? Mm-hmm. Now the reason I ask my wife that is because with my personality, all day long in my job, I've been listening, I've been doing meaningful adult conversation. Mm-hmm. My wife needs meaningful adult conversation. When I get home after work, what I want is mindless entertainment, mm-hmm. okay? Mm-hmm. So she's not only vice president of the Daugherty Corporation, mm-hmm. she's also chairperson of the social committee. Mm-hmm. So if she says, yeah, I think we should invite the so-and-sos over, or we should go to dinner, mm-hmm. it goes on my schedule. Mm-hmm. Now the purpose of this, and this is a principle that I encourage people to really cement in their memory, mm-hmm. is if we have the same expectation, we avoid a lot of conflict. Mm-hmm. And we have the same expectation, we avoid a lot of conflict. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, this works out in a whole lot of ways, but if you don't schedule the time, mm-hmm. whatever method you use, I mean, we use the business meeting, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I hear you. Time is a problem in our culture today, for sure. So this quality time with your spouse, give us some examples of what that could look like, especially with everyone who says they have a busy schedule, because everybody says that.
Well, I have 2 rules for the one-on-one time. Out of the house, mm-hmm. without the kids. Mm-hmm. That's the 2 criteria. Now, I realize that for some people, getting a babysitter, getting time and money, and mm-hmm. all that can be problems. Mm-hmm. But if we don't do this, then what happens is we finally get to the time, we get out, we're frantic, mm-hmm. and we're trying to cover everything, okay? Well, when you have the business meeting, now that's where you can discuss budgeting and disciplining the kids, things like that. So when you get that one-on-one time, you want to talk about good stuff. You got the business all out of the way. So you want to talk about the plans. Okay, hey, 7 years we'll have the kids out of the house. You and me, baby, what are we going to, okay, that kind of thing. And so it doesn't have to be an expensive time out. It can be a couple of hours at McDonald's, but you just get face to face, talk about the fun stuff, okay?
Oh, that's good stuff. And you've already alluded to this stuff, but why are date nights so important? And how often do you recommend husband and wife schedule date nights?
Well, with me, I found that if we can go a week without having time, we can go 2 weeks. If we go 3 weeks, it's almost like you can start to feel that relationship starting to pull apart and go in our separate ways. So I suggest at least every 3 weeks.
Every 3 weeks. What about, like, on top of that, romantic getaways or like a weekend away, whatever that looks like?
Find time for that.
Exactly, right.
Well, I do plan that. I do think that that's important. And if you have the availability, and this is one of the things about a good thing about church, is that over the years and almost 40 years of counseling, I have decided that when you have little ones at home, the best job for you to have is youth pastor, because you know who all the good teenagers are that can babysit.
Babysitters are valuable.
Yeah.
So what about that time with the kids? Does this same principle of quality time apply with kids, and what does that look like?
Well, kids are a little different because you can't sit down. I used to counsel kids in California, and I discovered something. Kids' mouths are attached to their hands. Okay? I mean, you, as a parent or a counselor, you sit a kid down and say, "Tell me about your day. What happened at school?" Nothing. Okay. But you get them moving their hands. You sit down on the floor, start rolling a ball, get out, toss the ball, and they'll talk. So that's one principle: is that you don't want to just try and trap them in terms of this communication. However, the other side of that is, I discovered that when I ask my son or my daughter, "Hey, I'm going to the market. Why don't you go with me?" Now they're trapped. They're in that car, and this is where we get some one-on-one time. So it doesn't have to be, spectacular day at Disneyland or anything like that.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. Awesome. In terms of the family spending time together, do you recommend doing family devotionals, family meetings, family time together, and what could that look like?
Yeah, I think it's wonderful to do that. And over the years, I've tried all kinds of things. It gets very frustrating. The problem is that you need to make it relevant and informative. Okay? So if you can do that. Now, there's a guy named Ken Ham, who is an Australian, who's the one who founded the Creation Museum down in Kentucky, and also the life-size Noah's Ark. And he has written some books about how do you get the kids interested. So if they don't just think that, like, Noah's Ark is just a fairy tale, okay, it was good stuff, but there's principles, there's application, and that's what you want to try and get into the family time.
Yeah, awesome. What about, like, young adults, students, teenagers, those who are still living at home? How does this principle of scheduling time together work for them? Can they, like, reach out, schedule time with their parents, with their siblings, etc.? Like, is that an option for all the kids who are listening, and the young adults or young people still living at home?
Next question. Try to trap someone who's going through that period of trying to separating from the family, going through those growth stages. It's very difficult, but you can use the same principles we've talked about. Make it relevant, make it interesting, and teenagers will look into that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks, Bob. Thanks for your time today. I really appreciate all of your insights and all the practical wisdom that you had for us today.
Thanks for having me over.